So I've recently discovered this phenomenon that I think we just kind of gloss over in the gaming industry, and it's the fact that the older the video game, the worse the voice acting becomes. To show you what I'm talking about, take a look at this cutscene.
This is it. This is where Forrestal cashed in.
Friend of yours?
A competitor. He was good. He was very, very good.
That wasn't Harrison Ford, that was Troy Baker. His delivery is so spot on throughout the entire game that there's a disconnect between my brain and my ears. As far as these puppies are concerned, that's the real Indiana Jones. Now for contrast, take a look at this cutscene.
Finally, real people! At last! Please don't kill me! But I suppose you have to.
Can you tell which game came out first? Now, there are a lot of exceptions to this rule, like the Metal Gear series has fantastic voice acting, and on the flip side of that, there are plenty of modern games that just do not fit the bill. NBA 2K15 comes to mind. Instead of hiring professionally or even unprofessionally trained actors, they decided to go with the creative decision of having the actual players voice themselves. I mean, it worked for Michael Jordan, so of course it'll work for every single NBA athlete. Right?
Oh my, someone called the National Weather Service. We had an unanticipated storm in the building tonight. Homeboy was raining threes down on these fools. Bam, 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 one after another. They'll lose track of you and boom, another one. That was sweet to see. You keep shooting like that, it's gonna make a huge difference for us.
This game has forever changed how I view NBA players. Like, as far as I'm concerned, this is just how they talk in real life now. LeBron, that was an amazing game today, and all of your fans want to know, how are you feeling? I had a lot of fun. I can't believe we won. In fact, I think we won real hard tonight. Why are you talking like that? I was like, basketball? What basketball? Oops, now it's in the hoop. Please stop. Bam! Bounce, bounce, bounce. 3 points. This never would have happened with Michael Jordan. But believe it or not, these athletes are actually in great company because there are scores and myriads and legions of older games that have a similar vocal direction.
Goldman, do you know what you're doing?
I'm fully aware of what I'm doing. Can't you see? To protect the life cycle. I have made a creature to rule over mankind.
Oh, hello.
Wang-san?
Huh? How do you know my name?
Oh, sorry. You look just like someone I know.
If you ever run into trouble, come talk to me.
Even the mighty Ramses is taking me for a wimp, asking me to battle with a girl.
Now, the thing that surprises me the most with this phenomenon is that there's no real rhyme or reason to any of this. There are so many iconic voice lines from classic games, like Altered Beast,
Welcome to your doom.
or Street Fighter, or even Mario Teaches Typing. But just because a game was received well or is just a good game doesn't mean the voice acting is gonna be good as well. In some instances, it's quite the contrary. Alright, here's a quick case study. Shining Force 3 for the Sega Saturn. It got great reviews, that's a good sign. It's a tactical RPG, those tend to have good voice lines. But then you use an attack and your character goes,
"Now bear my Arctic blast."
That wasn't an attack, that was a PowerPoint presentation.
Now bear my Arctic blast.
This is a bad guy, and this is a wizard staff. Wizards use these to attack bad guys in their jugular. Now, you might be wondering, how can I, someone without any magical powers, attack a bad guy in a jugular? Well, sharks, fear not, I have just the solution. Now bear my homemade pipe bomb. But the further you dig, the deeper this rabbit hole gets. The Zelda CDI games explain why Link is forced to take a vow of silence.
Oh boy, I'm so hungry, I could eat an Octorok.
Tactical Rescue Assault Group Mission of Mercy taught me how I should react when I defuse a bomb.
We did it! We deactivated the bomb!
And then there's the cutscenes in Mega Man 8, and I think that they speak for themselves.
I don't know where this energy came from, but cannot let it fall into Dr. Wowie's hands. You must recover all the energy immediately, Mega Man.
I'm pretty sure all these voice lines were done in one take on a cold read. I mean, he forgets who he's talking to mid-line. You should subscribe to my channel, viewer. Now, I do want to point out that for most of these examples, I don't think that the voice actors were bad by any means. I think that there's actually a lot of factors in play here that are just a result of the different time. Gaming wasn't always a multi-billion-dollar industry. The budget was a lot more tight, and studios had to make difficult decisions in order to reach deadlines, which means that naturally the voice quality would drop from time to time.
What? You can't say stuff like that. You could ruin your reputation.
But do I think it adds to the experience? Oh yes, absolutely.
Feel the power of my magic!
But that's just the half of it. Game studios didn't always have the luxury of recording multiple takes. Lots of these older games have mistakes in them just because the actor only had one take to get it right. All right, Mickey, we are live. Line 1, take 1. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, great, yeah. It's me, Mario! Oh, that didn't feel right at all. Can I try that line again?
Nope, that was good enough.
What do you mean?
That's going in the final cut.
What?
And then there's the fact that a lot of the time, voice actors weren't given any direction. And speaking from experience, it can be hard to give a compelling performance when your script doesn't have any context clues.
If you don't want the hostage killed, you should keep quiet.
Hey, the stealth bomber is in the back of this factory!
I also think it's important to remember that the world was much bigger 30 years ago. Back in the day, when a game did come to the States, they typically would just translate it, which means they would change it to English, but they wouldn't change any of the foreign context or emotions attached to it. Having characters that talk and act how I would expect them to makes all the difference with these games. Because when a game isn't localized correctly, it shows.
Hold me if I'm dying, and vice versa, okay?
But I think the whole reason why I've started to notice this more is because, as a whole, the medium has changed drastically over the years. This isn't always the case, but back in the day, voice acting tended to not matter quite as much. The video games were a lot more goofy and over the top, and so the voice acting could reflect that. It didn't have to be perfect. But now, most of the time, especially for AAA games, the voice acting is essential to the storytelling. And when it's off, it really shows.
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light!
We want games to be as realistic as possible, to the point where it's like you're watching a movie. Because unlike video games, movies are real. Pompeii really happened, guys. So at the end of the day, yes, a lot of older games have bad voice acting, but not necessarily because they're old. There are plenty of modern games that share these same problems. Let me know in the comments if you have a favorite terrible voice acting moment. This one is mine.
Come back, Shane!
My name's not Shane, kid.
On second thought, voice acting has gotten worse actually. I prefer this.